Yeah, I talked to Devin last week, and I mentioned to him that why, Norman, dangerous guy. It feels like it does more for Norman's career, and Devin's been already at the mountaintop, but his attitude is he's got a title. He thinks he's the best at 147. So all the credit in the world to him taking on that challenge.
Yeah. Look, I think that at the age of both of these young men, the willingness for them to want to compete and put their O on the line, man. I mean, that speaks volumes to the type of mentalities that both of these fighters have, and I think that's the nature and which we want the sport and we want fighters to behave. You know what I mean? Like throwback fighters. Um, when I look at, I'm going off another tangent, but when I look at like Vergil Ortiz, the performance he put on, then I look at Boots and the performance he put on, like right away you're saying, or you're like, fans are saying to themselves, like, hey, why don't those guys fight? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I want them to fight. I do. I want them to fight, and y'all already know who my pick is. Like a lot of guys are like from the show me state, like show me that you can win Boots. But me, I'm telling y'all right now, man. Anybody that wanna listen, you can listen. If you don't want to damn listen, then damn it, you're gonna learn the hard way. I'm telling y'all, Boots is going to beat Ortiz, and he's going to beat him. It's gonna be bad. I'm just letting y'all know. Some of y'all see that victory he put on, and Ortiz, and he looked spectacular, and he did it against a quality opponent. However, Boots is a different type of animal, man. This guy can be on his front foot. He can be on his back foot. This guy got punching power, hand speed. He got a ton of skill, counter punching ability. I mean, Boots has all the tools in the world to give a guy like Ortiz, who is talented. Don't get me wrong. Ortiz is talented, man. He goes about his way inside that ring, and you can see how calculated and precise he is when he's inside that ring, man. That right there was a killer this past weekend. He was a killer. You know what I'm saying? And it was he terminated his object, or he had terminated his freaking ops with like that 2 rounds. I don't think anybody in their mind thought it was gonna go 2 rounds. If you did, Stradamus or somebody, you know what I'm saying? Tell me the damn lotto numbers, but I didn't think it was
Right.
gonna be 2 rounds. You know what I'm saying? I didn't think it was gonna be that long, but or that short period of a time. So
Yeah, and nobody did. Robert Garcia, I asked him that. Obviously he thought his guy was going to win, was going to stop him, but 7, 8, 9. Uh, I mean, so let me ask you then. Yeah, Boots. You're picking Boots. They
all
got in
day,
the
7 days a week.
all day, 7 days a week.
All day, 7 days a week. He gonna. I'll tell you, he might even stop Vergil. He might even stop Vergil. I'm telling you. Like this is the thing, man. Like Boots, when I say he can go forward and he can go backwards, once Boots figure out, once he figures out Vergil, and he realizes that, damn, I can come forward too, it's gonna be a wrap. I mean, I know Vergil can box a little bit. I've seen him, off his back foot and try to be slick and and pop shot from the outside, but that's not his strong suit, man. That's not his strong suit. So not only can Boots box him off the back foot, set traps for him, laterally, but he'll also be able to come forward, and he has enough punching power, enough hand speed, enough IQ to be able to position and get himself in real good position against Vergil, man, and take advantage of some of Vergil's flaws. Vergil, to me, this is what I see. Vergil to me is very predictable. He's right in front of you. You know what I mean? I would say he's a bit hard to hit only because he keeps a tight high guard. He moves his head off to the side, nice little pre-slips off to the side. He's constantly trying to change his head positioning, but that's it. That there's nothing more than that. You know what I mean? And once Boots figures that high guard coming forward, similar to the way Crawford was able to figure out. Canelo Alvarez. Similar that way. Similar the way you got a guy like Shakur Stevenson was able to figure out Valdez. As soon as they figure that out, it's gonna be a wrap. Promise you, a wrap. So, hey, look, and I always say this: iron sharpens iron. We ain't seen Boots in there with a killer yet. I promise you, when he get in there with a killer, you gonna see the complete package of Boots, man. The complete package of Boots.
So Tim, um, you don't think Ortiz's power could be the X factor? Because it just seemed like he told me before the fight, or he said going into the fight, it was the best he's ever felt going into a fight, mentally, physically. He couldn't really describe it. He's an intellectual kind of guy.
He's very intellectual.
Yeah, and he said it was the best he ever felt. And I mean, we saw the power, firsthand the other night. But you think Boots can take those kind of shots, or he's just going to be able to get away from those shots?
No, Boots can't be taking those type of shots.
Yeah.
Those type of shots that Boots got get hit with all these other little jabronis. He can't do. He can't do that with Ortiz. And I don't think, and I think he's smart enough to know that, and I think his team is smart enough to know that. But see, like one thing about certain fighters that have, one, that competitiveness. Two, was raised up in the gym, having that Philly nature. He likes to fight. He likes to rumble. Not only can he box, he has a very high boxing IQ as well. But what happens to us type of fighters now? Now I want to say I don't want to class myself. I'm a Hall of Famer, but I'm not going to class myself and say I had more skills than Boots Ennis. Boots got a ton of skill. You know what I mean? I was special in the area of determination. I had quick feet. I had my little attributes to go along with me. But what happens is it heightens. You know what I'm saying? Fight or flight. It heightens. So like you take his skill set and he's getting there with Ortiz, who has a really high boxing IQ as well. Who has the punching power and the speed. Now you're ultra focused. You know what I mean? You have ultra combination, what's the word I'm looking for? Ultra concentration.
Tunnel
Because
vision or yeah.
it's just everything. It's almost like everything slows down a bit, man, because you're so ultra focused. You know what I mean? Because you fear what's coming at you. You know what I mean? In a sense, not to where you shut down, but just to where it's like you're aware. You know what I mean? Your hands are up. Your reactions are quicker. Your response is quicker. It's just like, right, if you see your baby, right, crawling on the bed, and you see the baby get close to that edge, and you reach out there. I mean, your reaction time is so damn fast, and you reach out there and you grab the baby before the baby falls off. It's like that for a fighter, especially a fighter with the skill set and the mentality of a fighter like Boots Ennis. So the dude is a competitor, man. He's a competitor. I personally think that his management was probably holding him back. However, look, this form of Boots that I saw got up in the ring, man. I thought he looked like Ricky Ross for a minute. He had the big beard. He had the Lokes on, the old school Lokes on. And, he had the chain and stuff. And I'm like, hey, this is a new type of boots right here. I ain't never seen. Shoot, what type of boots is these? You know what I'm saying? Because he was looking fresh. He was looking clean. He was looking sure of himself. And just like he said after his fight against Lima, I want Ortiz. That's who I want. However, I don't think Ortiz really want that right now. I don't think his people want it. I don't think Oscar want it. I don't think Robert Garcia wants it. Now, I could be wrong. I can be wrong, but I'm just telling you right now, why you want to get this guy knocked off? Trust me, they see what I see. Trust me, these people have been in the business a long time.
Mhm.
They see what I see. They know it's a gamble. If Ortiz is gonna get in the ring with Boots, and it's a damn gamble, and they're not willing to gamble right now, man. Ortiz is in a really good position to really make some good money fighting against guys that have been relevant in the sport before, have been off a little while, like you Spence of the world. You saw Spence there. Also, Charlo, Charlo too, Farmer Undisputed there. You know what I mean? Like he got some dance partners. I would advise Boots Ennis, fight a top guy, man. Fight a top guy out there. Get Madrimov into the ring. I really don't think the fight's gonna happen, man. I really don't. And look, me being a fan, yeah, the fanboy in me, absolutely. I want the fight to happen now, but I just know this business, man. And I understand that it's a process. When Boots or when Vergil wanted Boots, it was a certain timing. He wanted to get him as he moved up to 54, not let him adjust. And right now Vergil's saying, you know what? I'm gonna let you work a little bit more. Why not? You need to do a little bit more at 54 before I go ahead and face you because I know that it's risky. I think I can win. However, it's a 50-50 fight in his eyes. And he's like, I'm not willing to risk it all right just now. So, hey, I respect the game, man. I respect the game. I think both fighters had opportunities and they let it go. So this ain't gonna be no different. I know the fans are upset about it, and I know the fans going, oh, we need it now. We need it now. You know what I mean? And I get it. I get it. And they saying, well, we don't want another, Mayweather, Pacquiao, and it's not gonna be like that. These guys are young. It's not gonna be like that, right? Just maybe another 6 months, 7 months, maybe another year or so. I think both these guys definitely gonna get in the ring, and it's gonna be worth a lot more money. And also, they're gonna have belts on the line as well. Hopefully, they can get some, opportunities to fight for some world titles, man. Shoot, and then have a crash course right there.
Tim, I feel like you're at the post-fight press conference with that said, but Oscar has already put the stake in the ground that Virgil's the A side, and the money he told Lance Pugmire and me that the money has to be right. So he's already kind of, putting in that sounds like that loophole, to your point, the business side of things. Virgil will fight anybody any day, as a fighter, and you know that. But
Yep.
and Virgil actually said, I don't know if you heard this, his dream fight is Spence at Cowboy Stadium. They grew up in the same gym. They're both DFW guys, as you know, Texans. That would be his dream fight, if it was up to him. But yeah, you may be right though,
It it
based
is. I
on.
mean, it can be up to him. It can be up to him. And like I told you, it's one of those things where you got to weigh your options, right? You weigh your options. It's like, okay, I understand what the fans want, but we'll get there. You know, I want the fight. Don't get me wrong. I want to see the fight now. I told you already. It don't matter.
Is that the best one at 154 right now? Those two guys?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Because they're around the same height, around the same height. Virgil is a smart fighter, comes forward, put the pressure. I think stylistically, yes. I think they're the best fight. I think Fedora just it has these just freakish type of attributes, man, that go along with him. He's a difficult fight, I think, for both,
Yeah.
both guys. But I still think that, still think that Ortiz can get it done. I still think that Boost can get it done, man, and beat a guy like Fedora. There's a lot of holes in this game, So being that tall, being that having that length, but still, it won't be no easy task for either guy, But I still think that they can get it done. And then you got Xander Zayas that I think it's almost like a dark horse in the division. Not a lot of people's really giving him any respect, but I think that he's very technical and very tactical, and I think he'll give those guys a little run for their money too. So the division is great, man. I think it's a great division. But putting that business hat on, putting that promoter hat on, I see the play, man. I see the play. It ain't play time right now. I don't think for Ortiz. Um, so we'll see what Boost does. If he can't get Ortiz in the ring, we'll see what he does, man. Go get a belt. I think both these guys right now. I think they might be interim champions right now. Both
Yeah,
of
they're
them.
both interim champions.
Yeah, interim champions. So fight the champion. Fight
Yeah,
the
and you
champion.
mentioned there was a lot of buzz in the building. You mentioned Spence and Charlo, and obviously Boots was there for a reason. What do you think about a possible, Spence coming back? I asked him, he doesn't really give you much, kind of didn't non-committal, but what do you think about Virgil or Boots against Spence or Charlo?
Ah, shit, I wouldn't mind them both splitting them, and then they fight. I wouldn't mind that, but again, there's no belt at stake. This is just be bragging rights. Hey, I be the legend. You be the legend. Be bragging rights. For both guys. And but I think it'll be interesting. For the 154-pound division. But I think everybody already knows what's going to happen in those fights. Those are money grabs, good money grabs, great name on your resume. Spence been out of the ring too long, man. He's been out of the ring too long. Now Charlo, I think he's had a couple of comeback fights, but still inactive. But it's not. I don't think it's the fight that everybody want to see because everybody already know what's going to happen. I'll tell you what's going to happen. If Vergil fights against Spence, he gonna stop. He gonna stop Spence. Ain't no shade on Spence. I just don't think that Spence is what he used to be. And it's and what I'm saying is just stems from everything that I've did from the past, his past, and what he went through with Crawford. But yeah, and then I think that Boots beats Charlo.
Hmm.
I think he beats Charlo pretty easily, in my opinion. He outboxes him, might even stop him. So, but yeah, I mean, look, I got, I know one thing. I know one thing. Even if they were to swap, I know that Spence, when you're fighting against a guy like Spence, you gotta have a guy that's resolute. That's who Ortiz is, resolute, strong mentally. You know what I'm saying? That can hold his position, that is strong physically, and that can let his hands go as well. That's gonna give, I think, Spence issues. That's definitely gonna give him issues. Then you got on the flip side, I think that Charlo, he struggles with, that aggressive, not too aggressive, but smart pressure. He struggles with smart pressure. Canelo put that smart pressure on him. You saw what he did. You know, and I think, like I told you, Boots can come forward. Boots knows how to attack. He knows how to come forward. He knows how to be aggressive. He lets those combinations fly. And I think he'll be too much, too young, too fast, too strong for a guy like Charlo right now in this career, in his, I would say, a twilight of his career. But Spence is gonna be looking for big money.
Yeah.
That's what he's gonna be looking for, and Charlo gonna be looking for big money too. That's the only way these guys are gonna come back. It got to be big. They can't be no 2, 3 million. They got to be 10. They got to be big, big money, and I think that's what's gonna entice those guys to come back. So we'll see, man. We'll see.